Today I was not there. I was under center, so that was the thing. So today he is going to talk about poverty and anti-poverty strategies and programs in India. You know, right from 1947 onwards, so many anti-poverty programs are going on in this country with a lot of successes and some failures, of course. But to take you through to this session, he is the right person. There is no other person who is more suitable than Sri Vijayanand sir. So I request Sri Vijayanand sir to take the class, sir. Thank you, sir.
A slight modification from what Srinivas said. I handle a class on role of fellows. Role of Chris fellows, role of fellows, what is fellows and all that. But since I was in Delhi yesterday, I couldn't come. And our CEO said, hope it was, he must have talked to you about what the fellows should do. But I'll make some points. If there's repetition, nothing can be done because we didn't consult each other. First is faith in young people. Essentially comes out of faith in young people. You know, Faridabad city was built by, Faridabad was a refugee city and it was very slow. Rajendra Prasad was the chairman of the committee and Pandit Nehru was the secretary or convener. Nothing was happening. CPWD was not constructing. So somebody told them, get young engineering graduates and ask them, give them the task. And they did it. And then there was something called Indian Frontier Civil Service. You know, all this difficult areas like Arunachal Pradesh was called NIFA at that time. Nobody would go. And it needs a very special civil service. So a special small civil service was recruited, maybe a few people. They had to probably go by horse or yak for kilometers. And Nehru personally talked to them and their families. Are you willing to take this arch task? And they did phenomenally well. And of course, down the line, they can find these fellows. An outstanding example of fellowship was PMRDF, Prime Minister's Rural Development Fellows, which I mentored as Additional Secretary, Government of India. And the best were selected. At that time, the minister said, if government selects, there could be political bias, there'll be a lot of influence. And it was left to Tata Institute of Social Sciences to do the selection. At that time, there was an iconic director of TEST, one Dr. Parashuram. He did the selection, they did the training, and we mentored them in 70 odd, what are called left-wing extremism districts. In most of the districts, outside the collector's bungalow, you can't go. That was a condition at that time. These youngsters went and did real good work. Liaisoning, doing nothing. There's hardly any grassroots level governance. I'd given several lectures to them, outstanding. They were very funny instances. Two of them were arrested by the police for being Naxalites because they took up the causes of the poor in Gadchiroli. I mean, there was a very harsh, illegal forest logging going on. These people joined the tribals and brought them together. The police arrested them. And at that time, we had a very good minister, Vijayanand Ramesh, who directly talked to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra and said, they are my boy, they two, a boy and a girl. Let them off. And they were let them off. Otherwise, they would have still been in jail with all this draconian kind of thing. And in another area, our young professional was kidnapped. So we had to activate all kinds of human rights activists to get them released. So it was very exciting for them, but they did phenomenally well. And I must say, I participated in the final interview of almost all the fellows in the last 3 years. And I found, I've done 2-3 UPSC interviews also for the civil servant. And I couldn't find any difference. Sometimes I felt that our fellows are better off in this thing, except that I was deeply disturbed by people copying from AI. It's highly unethical. It's just like copying from a book. When a book is given in the exam, you are supposed to write it. If you can copy it from AI, you can copy it from a book. The kind of unethicality I couldn't dream, but we kept, wherever we detected that people had copied from the AI, we didn't take them, though their performance was outstanding. So that is something, ethical behavior is very, very important. So why do you look forward to youth? We could have taken from people with 10 years of experience or 5 years of experience in some sector. We would easily get. Why we thought youth is, you all know it. What is the characteristic of youth? Huh? Tell me, aloud. Energy, yeah. Is it energy alone? Huh? Yes. Some kind of idealism. I'm not sure whether the youth of today are as idealistic as youth of 40 years ago. At that time, we thought India is going to change. The world is going to change. All people are going to be equal. And there will be no caste system. I really thought when I was 15 years old. Nothing happened. Things have got worse. But still, let's retain hope, I think. Then something which I can't do. Lateral thinking. I'm very straight-jacketed, a pure bureaucrat. So I'll think in a very, very, not that it is wrong thinking, but lateral thinking is a big advantage of you. Then something which you should do. We may be scared. You're all retired civil servants. And one of the most outstanding civil servants has landed. And I can speak for myself and probably for the whole group that we like being told what crisp is. May not be public and all that. You can tell one to one. A lot of fellows even talk to me individually. Personal problems, not their private problems. I have this problem with this assignment. I'm not able to do it. This is the way my state lead treats me. This is the way the government treats me. What can I do? What is the way out? So we are very open. That's why we call ourselves mentors. Real mentoring. Trust us. Tell us in confidence or in public. I come from Kerala, where you have to answer things in public. People will question you. Everybody questions you. And we are trained right from 24. That, of course, in college also you did that. So that is a big advantage. Calling spade a spade. Qualities which bureaucrats don't have or can't have. I said, no, great. Everybody is a lakpati in India now. Every SHG woman is a lakpati. And we have no poverty as per official statistics. So you clap, yes, India has come out of poverty. We are $1 trillion. Soon we'll be $1 trillion. And keep our eyes shut. But here we want you to call a spade a spade. Not in public. Not against the government. Not to go and tell a press. But in our work, we are extremely brutally honest. And true to what is available in the field. We have I think she will not come now. Neha will not come for any lecture here. Neha is now our Maharashtra. Anamika. Neha knows what Anamika does. Anamika is one of your predecessors who works in very remote parts of Maharashtra. The kind of extreme poverty which she describes, you'll feel blood rushing to your head. This is India, and this is Maharashtra, which is supposed to be one of the leading states, and you have that kind of poverty, which is hidden. We just dismiss it. No, we can't waste our time on this kind of thing. So that is, and then to tell the emperor is naked. Capacity which everybody has lost. Earlier, media had that capacity. Now, media also doesn't have that capacity. Now, nobody can say the emperor is naked. So we'll all say, oh, what a beautiful clothes, what robes you are wearing. When it is far more ugly. We don't say that, but you call it. Then honesty. Then something which I can't even handle a mobile properly. It is, you're all very tech savvy, which has the downside. Of course, I have not been going to Missouri after 23, I think. But a lot of youngsters believe that one app can solve the problems of Buster or any tribal area. All that is required is direct transfer of benefits. That it will not solve. You need the personal touch, personal understanding, and use technology as your aid. Not to say that technology will solve the problems. It will not. I'll give you one example. This DBT was pushed. Now, of course, it's gone much farther. When we were in the ministry. So they said, no, the money should be given POS device or something. No, your POS device. Go to the woman and the worker. Most of the workers were Narega workers were women. Go and give it to them. So corruption will be eliminated, etc., etc. So then I found these women were still getting. If they had to get 150, 200, they were getting only 100. Why? POS fellow is also a human being, so he will take 50 rupees. So unless the women have the capacity to understand that this is my right, you cannot take my right, and I can challenge it, and somebody will protect my challenge. Unless you have that capacity, it's a long way off. Technology will not give you. Technology will go to your bank, and the bank fellow will give you, tell you, I'll only give you so much. Nothing can be done. In most but poorer locations, nothing can be done, particularly true of the Adivasi locations. Then I guess that youngsters have the capacity to dirty the hands and muddy the feet. There's something words told to me by a famous architect of Kerala, is no more, on Laurie Baker, who works with the people. So a foreigner who became an Indian. And then he used to say, dirty the hands and muddy the feet. And I expect you will also be little selfless and in your approach. So philosophy of crisp, they would have done it much better than I can convey. But what do you mean by a fellow? Fellow is a academic technical term. What is a fellow? Fellow of the Royal College of Physicians. You're a higher order student, not doing the conventional learning. So you're a fellow that way. Learning, discovering, doing, and focus on praxis. Doing. And while doing, you learn. So that is a big thing. And there's a larger objective of a fellow, particularly these kind of fellows who work with civil society organizations and non-government, even PMRDF, change. You're doing this to bring about a change. And you're a very peculiar identity. You're neither an official nor a student in that sense, not an activist. So I'll come to the different balances. Experiential learning plus structured learning, close observations. Can I use one term for you? It is development professionals. Young development professionals. But young is very important. We are very old, almost at the edge of leaving this development professionalism. And then you have an advantage, big advantage for Chris Fellows. Our CEO must have told you, we go only where we are wanted. And we do things only which we are confident we can do. So we are not the consultancy that way. Partly we are a consultancy, in the sense we give advice, but they tell us we want you for this purpose. What is the big advantage? You're wanted. You're giving a service which state wants. Not like any NGO, CSO, because you don't know, I will offer it and then do that kind of work. So that is a big advantage we have where states call you. And then, as probably would have been said, since we are all former civil servants, of course, I left civil service 9 years ago. They are much younger. But then I still have some contacts with people who know me, who think that I did some sincere work. So they may relate to me better. So that personal relationship with senior officials, which may not last long, it lasts for normally 6-7 years after retirement, but somehow I have pulled thanks to Chris for another 2-3 years. So you get into very good contact with them. That's one of the things. So since my topic is this, some points I wanted to tell you. We provide high quality, impartial, based on empirical situation analysis, we give our suggestions. But then I must caution, you can't straight away go and tell any government that what is happening there is stupidity. What is happening there is complete. There's a way English is a beautiful language. I am a student of English literature. You can convey the harshest thing in the sweetest of words. So mark that. Some of us made mistakes of telling the state secretary this is absolutely stupid. And then we had a tough time to patch up. Even a good secretary wouldn't like to be told all that you've been trying to do for 3 years is wrong. In Kerala, I did People's Plan, which has very high reputation outside. But if somebody tells me this is all stupidity, straight in the face, I am used to it, but you may not like it. We are way of saying, sir, is the beneficiary selection very good? Are there any problems in this part of it? Are the tribals involved? Why they are not involved? So there are ways of getting in what you feel is right. So that is, you should be very, very careful. I'm not saying that you should not be true to yourself. There's a beauty of English language. I tell when I work with a lot of civil society organizations now, I think 5, 6 or even more. So now India is not a good place for civil society, especially for an advocacy civil society. Advocacy is simply not tolerated. It could even be risky. So many of them are scared. Nobody can. They all depend on funds for doing. They are all vulnerable. ED or IT can finish them off in half a minute. They don't keep accounts properly. They can't keep accounts properly. So I tell them an incident in Mahatma Gandhi's life. Mahatma Gandhi was going to deliver a speech when there was censorship. So before you deliver your speech, you have to give the topic of your speech to the police officer. So as soon as Gandhiji came out of the train, the police officer said, "What is the topic of today's talk?" He said, "Role of goat's milk in one's daily diet." Gandhiji doesn't lie, so the police officer walked away. A very harmless topic. So Gandhiji said, No. I will use that to criticize His Majesty's empire. So even while talking of goat's milk, you can criticize what is happening. That's the beauty of the language. Rely on it, and that is very, very important. Then, what has been our success? Initially, I wouldn't have told this point. People have really gone, and you're working in a sarkari situation, in a field situation, in a development situation. People, government, systems, you're trying to bring them together. So, really understanding what is happening. First, the macro picture. If it is Panchayat Raj you're doing, if it is SHG you're doing, understand the larger dimension of what SHG is and all that, which we will tell you, and you can read up a lot of literature on that. Panchayat Raj means the Panchayat Raj Act of the state. PESA means PESA. FRA means FRA, Act, rules. So once you know this is the picture, you go to the field and find out what exactly the reality and the de jure and de facto. What is the big difference? And then we try to build models. There's a very popular word which I heard probably only 10 years back, evidence-based policy. I've been making policy since the 90s. I never looked at any evidence. It just comes from the heart. Even now it comes from, a good policy comes only from the heart. I don't think any person gave evidence on this is a policy, but good policy comes from the heart. Of course, bit of the mind, you need to structure a policy. So, this is very important. We learn this thing and building evidence. This is how solid waste management, which means micro level details are required. Their interrelationships have to be understood. So you tell this is how this may work better. And all is incremental. Things are happening. SSGs are there, panchayats are there, skilling is there, health is there. These are areas where we work. Higher education is there. So you are pushing it, improving it. And that contribution to improve based on facts, based on your persuasive ability, and all that is core of your work, which I am sure you would have been told. And then we make recommendations based on very intensive, we don't have time for very intensive assessment. And if the recommendations are accepted, do you stop there? So Chris analyzes, gives recommendations on things which state wants, and then operationalize the recommendation. That's where in government recommendations are easy. Operationalizing is a challenge. That is a real challenge. We may or may not succeed. There we deal with the policymakers, the cutting edge level officials, the ground situation, and most of the changes are incremental, but they are certain kind of sure kind of changes. So we weigh different options and give it. Quickly running through your roles and tasks. I think you would have done it partially. Spare me if there's a repetition. You're a change agent. You're a catalyst. You're a researcher and learner. You're an evaluator or assessor. And you also have a small space for reforms. And you are an innovator. Innovation can be anything, from process to procedure to convergence to technology. Then coordination. It's a big challenge. Most of government thing fails in coordination. And we use the word convergence. Things don't converge. You know, they're all separate silos. Obvious, very obvious. You'll think, how can people miss this such obvious thing? But people miss it. So that kind of convergence simply doesn't exist. One simple convergence which India missed. Narega and NRL. Now, of course, Narega is not there. My mind is very old, and my feelings are also very old. It's very difficult for me to talk about VBG Ramji. Though, as a citizen, I am bound by the law, whatever stupid law it is. So, see the convergence. If the SHGs of India led Narega, what would have happened? Narega in the worst of days gets about 80,000 crores. If these women get 20,000 crores, easy. And they would have got not only work, assets, so many things. But we didn't, and it was single ministry. We didn't think of that convergence for 10 years. Now we are thinking of the convergence a bit late. Because things are settled in Narega. Now you can't suddenly take the women and say do the work. There are a lot of vested interests lying here and there. We in Kerala, not any of our skills, just serendipity. Kudumbashree is very strong. And we had a different motive. I never thought so many people need work in Kerala. When we assessed panchayat-wise, the likely candidates for this work, then there's huge corruption. Corruption in Kerala is very different. It's the lowest in the country. But we thought it's disturbing. This kind of corruption cannot exist in rural development. And in all this work, contractors, middlemen, and all that kind of thing. So we thought, let's try to get rid of it. A bureaucrat cannot decide, but I had a fantastic minister who supported. And he was under pressure from his political party that he is a communist. So communists were in the forefront of the Narega movement. So they said, no, we'll cut a sorry figure. Kerala was last in the country in terms of Narega for 1.5 years. And I was a secretary. Every time I go to government of India, I get pulled up. And we had a very good minister, one Raghuvansh Prasad Singh from Bihar. A clean person from the RJD. Looks like a irony, how he can be clean in RJD, I don't know. But still, he used to say, Aap Vampanthi log, my Hindi is bad. Why are you performing so badly? You asked for Narega and you are the worst. Kerala and West Bengal, you are the worst in Narega. We had a very tough time. But my minister he said, if it can be implemented properly, implement it. Otherwise, Kerala doesn't need it. So once the minister openly says that, we had a way of structuring. Anyway, I'm not diverting. We asked Kudumbashree women to do it. And they did it phenomenally. The quality of works are very ordinary. But not a single rupee is channeled away. And Kerala was spending about 4,000 crores last, 4,000, sometimes even very close to 5,000, out of which 90% is labor. Technically, it can be 75%, no? It can be 60 or 75. So, and what was this? The poor women of Kerala, they are all old. No 50-year woman will come and work. They are 65, 70. They were getting 3,500 crores per year in their bank accounts. And I would say that contributed significantly to the sudden reduction of extreme poverty in Kerala. And then all the other side effects of women, gender, empowerment, old women having money, elder care, lot of, we never thought there'll be so many. Our idea was to get rid of corruption. Then it became, oh, now everybody says this should be done, but you can't do it. Things have settled. That's another big problem in government. Even if somebody wants, it's very easy to break a mold once it gets formed. Okay, so I was saying coordinator, field realities, convergence. I was talking about convergence. There is a word called integration, and there is convergence. Have you heard of the word integration? In our younger days, we used to call integrated development. Yeah, yes. What is integration? Integration is much more structured. It's organic to the extent possible. Convergence is just placing, bringing together. So health and Swachh Bharat should converge. Integration is much more complex. Integration requires very detailed planning, which that capacity now public systems have lost. Then, how do you learn field realities? I'll mention it here, so I'll not repeat it. Then, of course, relationship builder, capacity builder, and all that. And you have multiple roles. Most important is developmental, which I explained. And while doing development, you will be sensitive to certain realities: gender, social justice, sustainability, rights, extreme deprivation, vulnerability. So I think somewhere in the back of the mind, you will be listening. Then something we all learn from experience. There is a lot of development which doesn't require money and investment. Now we have given a term to it. It's called low cost, no cost development. If you bring people together, a lot of development will come. If you tell people these are things which can be done, it can be low cost, low cost. I'll give you one example. Inspired by a panchayat president. He's no ordinary panchayat president. He's a chemical engineer who worked in TECRI, Central Chemical Research Institute. But he came back, resigned his job, and became a panchayat president. He's even now an activist. One Ilango, in very close to Chennai. So he was telling me, as a young panchayat president, he used to go listen to all the classes. So he went to the primary health center where the doctor had a lecture on the importance of iron in pregnant people. And very simply told, this is how it helps a healthy child and all that. Very simple correlation. So what did he do? As a panchayat president, he went and found out how many women are pregnant in the panchayat. I forget the number now, maybe some 20 or something. He got their blood tested. Almost costless. And then he took the results to the doctor. And the doctor prescribed most plentiful supply in our government hospitals, iron tablets. And he took the blood levels later. All of them had improved from 6 to 13. This is not development. Huge development, but practically costly. So just to give a real life example of how thousands of such things lie around, low cost, no cost development. Okay, specific roles I first forgot to tell you. Governance. What is governance? What is the difference between governance and government? Tell me. Governance and government. I'd have waited for your answer, but since my time is short, I will have to answer it that you also know. That's partially right. Governance means a process where modern governance, particularly development governance, implies participation, implies field action, field understanding. So, very important task is governance. That I mentioned how you will analyze policies, laws, orders, and all that, citizen entitlements. But a very, very good uh, indicator of good governance is service delivery. Think of various government departments as service delivery agencies. Look at a school as a service delivery. Look at an Anganwadi, obviously a service delivery. Hospital. So a large number of them are service delivery. Then break up the services. What are the services they are giving? What is the current quality? Why? Can they improve? Are people accessing? So these are very simple kind of things which makes a lot of difference. So improving service delivery, and that's one of the most important things of good governance. And what is good governance? That itself is a full lecture. So I request you to Google UNDP and say what is good governance. There are some 8, 10, 12, 13 indicators of good governance. But one very good indicator of good governance is what? Huh? Yeah. So then that you shouldn't let out the. See, I have taken two, 3 classes for him when he was working as a fellow in Karnataka. Good most important uh, feature of good governance. There are a lot of features. You can choose any one. They are all very important, but I have a definition now, which I didn't give. It's a definition which I developed in the last 6 months. If a person enters a government, public, panchayat institution for anything and comes back happier than he or she went in, then there is a good governance. You would have all had some interaction with the government office, I'm sure. How many of you came out happier than you went in? Very unlikely. That's always required. So, good part of your good governance is behavior, respect for the dignity of the person who comes there. The word is dignity, self-esteem. You go to any public institution, your self-esteem gets hurt, injured. So that is one definition. Then, of course, I have an old definition which I've been giving for 25 years, including in Masuri. This is actually taught to me by a woman panchayat president, semi-literate, from Tamil Nadu. She said, panchayats are places. There's something in the Bible which says, knock and it shall be opened. God telling you that you knock and I will respond. She was telling me, sir, most people of our country cannot knock at a public facility. Isn't it true? We may have 5% poverty or 2.5% poverty. But how many persons can go to a collector and ask? Or let us further get a collector, a sarpanch, or what is it called? Revenue functionary in BDO, Tahsildar, Talati, those Patwari. How can you ask? You can't ask. So you can't knock. So she said, very poetically, open the door on hearing the footsteps. What does it mean? Anticipatory good governance. You reach out. People will not come to you. So don't judge something by people who access governmental services, people who don't, who can't, not who don't. Then I may not access now, who don't. So that is a very good sign of good governance, opening the door on hearing the footsteps, reaching out to people. Now, talking of Patwari, in 2012, I went to Ranchi for some rural development meeting. Then that is a meeting of civil society activists, the height of so-called left-wing extremism. So I asked what is a very childish question. I asked the civil society people, what is the cause of this left-wing extremism? The answer which all of them unanimously gave me, shock. They said if the police officer, the Patwari and the forest guard can treat the tribals with respect, not to satisfy their demands, then LWE will be gone. Isn't it a huge lesson in public administration behavior? Listen, you can't give. So that trust doesn't exist. So many parts you go to, exercise would be suddenly do it. Young people can't do it in 2 to 3 years, but that's an important thing. Okay, that's the governance role. Developmental role I mentioned. Then there is a managerial role where you manage things. I don't have to monitor and all that. Then there is an academic role. You write papers, it's published. Not in our journal, you should publish it elsewhere. And many of our persons are called for lectures, even in IITs and business schools, or young professionals. And they deliver, it's highly rated. So it's up to you, it's not compulsory. And writing and all that. Somebody got called in some international workshops, seminars. So we encourage you to submit, not the first month. Maybe after 3-4 months, you will know what to do. And most of them are developmental topics. So you will do some academic work, understanding reality. Did I use the word immersion? So, I'll do it later, so I'll not do this. Use some kind of action research. Working with government is not easy. It's very difficult. It'll put you off. So you should be thick-skinned when you are rubbing with the government. The young, bright, activist souls shouldn't get hurt. A warning. People think, we are giving free service. They will not. They don't want it. But persist. Faceless. I will not get hurt. But once you establish a relationship with somebody, of course, your senior officer, secretary, and all that will, because we have a MOU with them. But actually, the cutting edge is very important. The BDO, the Gram Sevak, or their equivalents in different departments. Once you establish a relationship and they find value in you, then so we are going to ease their work or greater outcomes for their work. But don't tell them, I'm coming to ensure that you perform better. No. I don't know. Can I be of help to you? What is the thing where you want? Sometimes they'll say, just prepare a presentation. Start or write a report for it. But later, you can get it. So that is very, very, this thing. So soft, silent, unobtrusive entry. So you're very soft, silent, unobtrusive. We don't wear it on our sleeves that we are going to change the society. Non-threatening. That's very important. Bureaucrats, sometimes even chief secretaries feel threatened. Just by the sight of somebody. So your whole thing would be non-threatening. I would almost call faceless. Then, of course, the culture, understanding, and all that. And then, whatever you say, I can tell you almost with authority, you can learn more from the smallest official. He or she may not be able to articulate, but they will tell you the truth. If you are very friendly, they will tell you everything. All that I learned in administration was from these kinds of people. You're very friendly with them, and they know that you are very sincere. They will almost confess, sir, we do all this, but this is all bogus. So that is something, building relationship and all that. Bureaucrats play a lot of games. Not the real sports, but the games. You shouldn't get hurt. But that you'll, and there will be more of apathy than opposition. That's very difficult to adjust. They will not say, we don't want you. They will just go away. Or, come tomorrow, come day after. That's, for a youngster, it will be really galling, but be prepared for that. And we do this, as I said. Then, a very strategic advice, identify allies. A lot of people will tell you the truth. Not everybody. So have them on your side. So the way forward, the challenge is grueling work and can be frustrating. And when you go to an extremely poor location, which you will go, it's emotionally disturbing. When I went to a tribal area as a young officer, I just didn't know what to do. It disturbs you deeply. We talk of governance, this thing, law, constitution, morality. You go and see that. It's terrible. Even now, in large parts of it. Even in Kerala. So that is very, very important, that you should not be emotionally disturbed. Okay, then one simple point I didn't tell you. You can't change the whole thing, but you can nurture a beacon, a cluster of panchayats, or one institution. Then others learn from that. That's how we have been working, and it's been quite good. And of course, I'm sure you will have the skills required. They would have told you objectivity, independence, humility, courtesy, passion, empathy, collaboration. All this I mentioned also. Then very important moral qualities. When I learned bright young people can cheat using AI, it is very, very different. So what is it? Integrity. It's an expression of your personality. If you don't have integrity, you are nobody. So integrity, self-discipline, honesty, then a virtue which was into us when we were civil servants, anonymity. You will not claim that I did it. Claim will come. I mean, the credit will come to you, but don't claim. Don't tell anybody that I did it. You helped somebody to do it. You are a catalyst. Then these are things which I've told your predecessors also. Probably I would have told the Karnataka fellows also. There are a lot of achieving balance in a professional, young professional is very important. Working and learning, I said, you'll work within the system. At the same time, you have to do some advocacy. Come out of the system. You have to do and critique, at least in your mind, not openly. Otherwise, you'll get sucked into it. Passion and objectivity. Balancing between passion and objectivity. Doing and thinking. Doing and documenting. These are all things. Then the micro and the macro picture. Ultimately, is a balance of the head and the heart, which is not easy. Easy to say, but very difficult to do. Now we have completed 3.5 years, almost 3.5 years, and expectations are very high from states. Totally unexpected. And in September 22, my friend Subramaniam rang me up and said, I'm planning to, we have made it good in civil service. What is making good in civil service? We are rich, we are famous. But compared to what a civil servant can achieve, in very small areas, we can't achieve mega things. Probably we did well, many of us. So he said we should give back to society. That's the word he gave me. I said, yes, I'm very much for it. I was 65 at that time. Then he dropped a bombshell. Sir, you should be the president of CRIS. I said, no, I'll be a very active member. I don't need any position. I can do anything with the same. He said, no, you should. So I can't say no to him. So I said yes. But deep within me, I was sure, who will come to a 65-year-old fellow and ask for advice, especially a fellow bureaucrat? So I thought nothing will come. Anyway, to satisfy Subramaniam, I said, yes, I will become president. But that has taken off. Taken off like anything, and we have achieved a lot of things which different persons will speak to you. So we have a lot of things. And what do fellows gain? That's my last point on fellows. What do you gain by doing all this? You have a chance of contributing. Not that you're somebody that the press will write, or the secretary will say you contributed, but you have a way of contributing. Some of them will talk to you, they will tell you. Then any job, I say if you're going for a job in a chemical factory, because any job is good enough, so I shouldn't be pejorative of a chemical factory, but understanding government in the raw is something which will stand you in good stead wherever you are. Academics, non-government, social sector, any core job, or even in artificial intelligence. This understanding of how systems really work and understanding people who suffer, who don't get anything. This we may not even realize that we're learning, but this will be a great, great learning. Then there are postgraduate courses in public policy. Some of you would have done public policy also, perhaps, or at least. But here you'll be really understanding how public policy is formed. And you yourself would contribute to public policy. I can give you one very good example. There will be a lot of others. Currently, there is something called Gram Panchayat and SHG partnership. They are supposed to be together. Kerala did it right from the beginning. So, based on lessons of Kerala, Government of India has adapted, contextualized it. You can't repeat the Kerala situation elsewhere. And then to roll it out is very difficult. Not even to get the policy is very difficult. So in Tamil Nadu is, I'm a Tamilian, but a Keralite. I speak Tamil. So I'll not be parochial when I say the best governed state in the country is Tamil Nadu. A lot of corruption, but efficient. If you do something, they want to do something, they'll get it done. Next to impossible in Kerala. If an achievement in Kerala is even greater because you're doing it in a very difficult. So a lot of people tell me, you can do it in Kerala. If you can do it in Kerala, you can do it anywhere in the country. It's not easy. Now let me come to this good governance in this Tamil Nadu system. So we said we have an MOU with Government of Tamil Nadu. One item was SHG Panchayat partnership. So we worked and brainstormed, got ideas, and finally they issued a government order. Government orders are easy to get issued in most states, which lie on the table, which are not even read by the secretary. But in Tamil Nadu, a government order means something. The BDO will read it, the collector will read it. And not only did they issue the order, it was a very huge policy achievement, they said, you help us to implement the order. So now we have a pause because of the elections. After the elections, we will be implementing it. I mean, 370 village panchayats and ultimately the whole state. This is the beauty of it. Your concept, not a new concept, get it accepted, formalized, trial and error, rolling out. So this in terms of crisp work. So we have great expectations from you. And crisp brand, our ambition is it should be like the Amul brand, recognized in all states. So crisp, yeah, very good. Now even now people recognize crisp. Too early, but they recognize crisp. And then of course, it will be a huge boost to your career things. So far, it has been quite good, and it depends on you to move further in this thing. So these are my quick bullet points on the role of what I feel is a role of a crisp fellow or any fellow who works with government. And now there's a break? No, there's a break only at 11:30. Okay. No, I don't want a break. Yeah, if you have any questions, on this there cannot be any question. There's a preaching. You can't ask a preacher. I'll be touching 70 next month. I'm wondering why not. Yeah. For want of time, I did not qualify that. Who goes to an office for a legitimate purpose? Those who go to an office for illegitimate purpose will always be happy. They will carry, that big fellow who carried money to PM's office years back. You must have read in stories. He was always happy. So that is a citizen who has a legitimate expectation comes back that for want of time, I didn't qualify. It's not anybody going and coming back happier. All the corrupt fellows will come back happier, having got a good contract and all that. Yes, I'll give you because the old bureaucrats are supposed to be. There is a joke. It says, when you are old, there's an English word, dotage. Dotage is accompanied by anecdotage. So when we become 70, we will tell stories of how great we were. But I can, we may get attracted by that. But yes, it is true. I'll tell you a true life story. We had a corrupt local government minister in Kerala. At that time, fortunately, I was not local government secretary. I was planning secretary. So he's a very frank guy. So a fellow who had a 18-story illegal building to be constructed in Trivandrum didn't get permit for years. So when this man came, he went and asked him, I want this. Somehow, you give it to me. This was in 2002. And the minister said, give me 18 lakhs, 20 lakhs. So this fellow had taken the money. So he said, I have only 18. Take it. And kept it on the table. The minister didn't bargain for 2 lakhs. Then the other fellow added, that's the funny part of it. For others, I will give separately. The PA, peon, and all that. So this is for you. Then the minister immediately said, don't spoil them. Give that to me. It really happened, not joking. And then, no, this is the funny part of the story. But to relate to what you said, this fellow went about telling everybody, this is how a government should be. Quick redressal for 7 years I went in, I got it in 2 minutes. So a lot of people think that the government which gives you a permit without a process, whether it be big Vedanta or a small petty shop, they think it is there. Okay, now let us get into this. Why not hurting people? And that again, I should tell you a story, the real life story. What motivated me to be very friendly with persons who come and meet me? And anybody can meet. In Kerala, it's easier. Anybody can meet. As a collector, I used to get about 200 people, 150 to 200 people a day. And they can meet you, it's guaranteed. But they may have to wait if I am in a meeting. That's all. Okay. When I was a young boy, we had a case in the High Court. We won the case. We had a plot, the prime plot now. The police had to evict and give it to us. The fellow who was staying there illegally was very influential politically. He caught hold of the police. The police didn't act. So I was preparing for the civil service exam. Just started preparing for the civil service. My father was less than 60 at that time. So every day I used to accompany my father, not every day, every week at least once to the police station. And I was never a political activist, but deeply political. I think, how can government systems, public? So as to work, he will say, come at 9:30. Sometimes the bus will not reach at 9:30. So we take a taxi. We are not rich. We take a taxi and go there. And we will wait. And in police station, there are no places to sit. So after standing for some time, we squat under a tree. And then this fellow will come at 9:30, walk very smartly into the police station, come again after half an hour, walk up and down 4 or 5 times. And finally at 12:30, he will say, what do you like? So I wouldn't go, my father goes. And just tell, no, you come next week. That's all. Like that, you will not believe it. We went for 6 months, several times a month. Okay, that kind of deeply. I said, if I become an IAS officer, I will ensure this doesn't happen. That's all I can do. I can't go and fight him. But he did something which really hurt me. My father was an accounts officer in the AG's office, a very self-respecting gentleman. So he went to the police station. By some accident, he kept 2 fingers on the table. The police fellow's sub-inspector's table. The sub-inspector straight away said, take your hand away. My father was very hurt. He came and told me this. And I said, yes. It's a big lesson. Not go and fight at their side. For me, if at all I come to a position of authority, nobody will be hurt. You will not make it happier, but nobody will be. That's another definition of good governance. You will not get hurt by asking for your right. So, at a young age, at your age, I was 24 at the time,